are we really still doing this? The whole video games causes violence trope that liberals, feminists, and conservatives love to push, as if video games actually causes violence out here. Now, this whole trope that has been going on has been completely sickening as for the past 20 plus years, because people really want to use like one bad example and say, yeah, this is causing video games to cause violence, and then just cancel video games all in general, or dumb video games down to the point where people can't even enjoy a damn game. So the whole GTA 6 trailer just got released, right? It released last week, I believe, and it's already causing people to go into freaking mayhem. The whole idea that video games like GTA causes people to disrespect their parents, it causes people to go out there and commit crimes, it goes out there and causes people to beat women, it causes people to go out there and think that, oh, I like what they do in this video game, let me just go out there and do it in real life. Now, 99.9% of gamers know that video games are just a work of fiction and it's not real. That other 0.1% is the percent that people love to use in order to justify canceling or dumbing down video games. Now, I'm not with this whole trait that video games should be censored, because like I said before, it's just a work of fiction. It's not reality. But people really truly believe that if video games were to be censored, just like how they do it with media, what it pertains to comic books, what it pertains to movies, what it pertains to TV shows, hell, even people want anime canceled because anime is a much more better platform than freaking, let's just say, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or let's just say DC, like video games that comes from those platforms. Like, people truly want to use those examples to say, yeah, we need to censor it for the kids. First of all, why are your kids, if you're worried about your kids playing these type of games, why are you buying it? Because the game, literally, Grand Theft Auto, is literally rated M for mature, 17 plus. If you, this is on the parents right here. If they truly don't want their kids playing these games, don't buy the games. It's that simple. Now, let's go ahead and read this article, because this article from about GTA 6 from Days is really hysterical at this point, where I just gotta say, yeah, we got gaming journalists like this that makes it hard for people to just enjoy a damn game, even if the game is filled with violence. Again, it's a work of fiction. It's not reality, but people seem to forget that.
Grand Theft Auto 6. Does the world really need another sequel? When I was in my first year of high school, rumors swirled around the playground about a video game where you could see people naked. Outrage and intrigue flooded the hallways. It was 2005, and for a group of 12-year-old Catholic school kids, nothing could be more scandalous than the idea of a video game where people had sex. Until that point, our Game Boys and PlayStations were for catching Pokemon and locking Lara Croft Butler in a walk-in fridge. The hot coffee controversy around Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, in which particularly dedicated fans of the franchise restored a cut minigame which allowed them to have semi-graphic sex with player character's girlfriend, CJ, blew our tiny religion-conditioned minds. The first Grand Theft Auto game I played was GTA 5, released in 2013. It was a cultural behemoth. By then, the franchise was already one of the most successful and infamous in gaming history, but GTA 5 took things up a notch. In the first 24 hours on sale, the game made a reported $800 million. It surpassed the $1 billion mark in less than 3 days, but as well as breaking commercial records. GTA 5 was a critical smash too, earning perfect scores from various review outlets. But there is still a place for the bloody, often deeply misogynistic, anti-sex work and transphobic worldview perpetrated by GTA in 2033. We're post-Gamergate, post-Me Too, and yet women are still struggling to be seen or heard within the game industry. Violence against women and transgender people continues to dominate global headlines. It doesn't feel like the gaming world has necessarily become a more accepting place, at least at the AAA level. The trailer for GTA 6 showcased the franchise's first fully playable female protagonist since the original Grand Theft Auto game. Meanwhile, Rockstar has allegedly made positive shifts to clean its frat boy corporate culture. Still, it's hard to imagine what a version of GTA that isn't a cis male power fantasy might look like. Growing up playing video games, I expected them to have some level of misogyny or homophobia baked into them. But a decade after GTA's release, The video game world is more diverse and exciting than ever. And as much as I love the Looney Tunes aesthetic hijinks of Michael and company, I played plenty of games without the scummy sentiments.
This is where we're at right now. The fact that people truly believe that games like this are homophobic, transphobic, this is literally literal media at its core, trying to make everything sound a lot more worse than it is. Like a video game causes homophobia. A video game causes misogyny. It causes misogyny, right? This is where we're at. The fact that people just can't enjoy a freaking video game because they want to put their real world political views into it and make video games a lot more dumb than what it already is. This is why the video game industry is dying, because we got people like this in the media that makes it seem like the video game is a lot more worse than what it already is, even though it's not. It's even so bad to the point where even conservative media like Newsmax and other outlets that are predominantly conservative or Republican, and they continuously show why they are failing to try to influence people culturally, and it's nobody's fault but theirs, man. Like, it's really hysterical that they say they want to try to influence culture, but then they're the same ones that are pushing this type of stupid propaganda when it pertains to gamers. Like, gamers are just these violent people that just love to hurt.
Far and away the hottest selling video game in history of, I don't know, ever. Grand Theft Auto 5, now 10 years later, has over 185 million games in circulation, with more than $8 billion in revenue since it came out. Well, Grand Theft Auto 6 is set to debut a little over a year out, and they're already anticipating a $3.5 billion opening sale. Now, aside from the fact that I think video games melt your brain and they're stupid, what does this say about us as a society? That the #1 selling video game is titled after a felony, Grand Theft Auto, centers around violence against women, picking up hookers, beating up random bystanders, and shooting at cops. The irony is that as a society, we're being neutered already and taught that words are violence, and if you call somebody the wrong pronoun, you can cause PTSD. There's an entire political party that wants to criminalize hate speech, yet not a word about our kids learning to be violent felons on a video game. Board-certified clinical psychologist Dr. Jeffrey Gardner and primary care doctor at Massachusetts General Hospital, Dr. Peter Grinspoon. Look, Dr. Grinspoon, what do you make of this, and what is this doing to our kids?
Well, what do I make of it? The same things that make it sort of inappropriate for the kids, the sexuality, the violence, sometimes there are even drugs in these games, are what make it so popular and so enticing. It's sort of like forbidden fruit. And I worry mostly about the violence and about how kids can get really desensitized to violence. I also worry about these games are so engaging and compelling. I worry about the addictiveness. There are other injuries you can get, like thumb injuries, carpal tunnel syndrome, tennis elbow. There are a lot of insomnia, obesity. There are a lot of health problems with video games, but this video game in particular, I agree, is very violent and very sort of sexualized. And, what happens is the older kids play it because there's an age restriction, but then the younger kids sort of tag along and watch it and get really exposed to it. And I don't think it's very healthy at all.
Dr. Gardner, Elon Musk responded to an ex-employee's post, not former, an ex-employee that had played Grand Theft Auto, saying, quote, tried it, didn't like doing the crime. GTA 5 required shooting police officers in the opening scene, just couldn't do it. At least some kids are coming around, right?
Yeah, and what this all comes down to, the good doctor is right. I mean, there are so many concerns about, if all you do, if your diet is all about video games, violent video games, these are things over time that keeps you from interacting with people, perhaps in more appropriate ways. And so, if nothing else, there are health issues because you're not going out, you're not playing, you're not being physical in a way that's appropriate with regard to exercise. But, the other thing is, I know a lot of people feel that these video games may cause, violent behaviors. Right now, the studies are really mixed there. We really don't know what it is doing. What the studies are showing is that it can. But what the studies are saying is that they can cause aggression, and certainly aggression is different from violence. But I think the key thing here, and I think the good doctor might agree with me, is if you have someone who has a severe psychological issue or is in a violent home, and all they're getting is more reinforcement for violence, then this certainly can hurt someone, because there are kids who do play it and they don't get in trouble, they don't get violent. So, but you have to be careful, who is actually absorbing these particular games.
Dr.
Bro, it's 5:00 in the morning and I'm doing this shit. This is some crazy hysterical propaganda right here. Like, video games causes violence. And video games has little kids, not go out there, be more proactive, and it causes people to insert some type of aggression. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the stuff that we've been hearing for 20 plus years, and this is why, you had some people say, like, oh, video games should not be anywhere near, like, children, even though there are different variety of video games that people can be playing. It's not just violent video games that's out there. It's actually family-friendly games like the Mario, like the Sonics, that are out there that people can play. But it's not the fact that these games causes violence, because that's definitely not the case. It's all about what parents or what people are being taught throughout life. Video games don't actually teach you what goes on in life. It's just a work of fiction. And if people are having a bad day, if people are out there, in school, they trying to release some stress, video games is the best thing, or that's out there right now, because people use video games as a means to escape reality. Like, people know that games like Grand Theft Auto are not to be taken seriously, especially in real life, because those video games out there are literally what it is. It's just a work of fiction. Like, people want to do the whole, it causes people to want to go out there and hurt cops. It causes people to go out there and be aggressive towards women. It causes people to go out there and want to go out there and, just loot people. It causes people to go out there and be like, hey, I feel like jacking a car. Like, this is what video games does to people. Like, no, this is a disingenuous take. Like I said before, 99.9% of gamers out there know that games like Grand Theft Auto are not to be taken seriously in real life. And the fact that people want to try to keep on pushing that narrative, it just goes to show, like, they have no idea what the hell they're talking about. And, like, they think that video games has that much influence over people. But then when like I said, it's that 0.1% that people look at when it pertains to video games, and they don't look at the majority, like the 99.9% of gamers out there that are just looking towards video games to just ease their minds a bit. It's not the fact that video games causes violence. It's the fact that people who play video games, some of them need to be better taught in real life about certain things. Now, do you have some people that use video games as a way to, like, just not interact with people? Yes, but that's not the majority, especially that's what's been happening these past couple of years, right? The past 5+ years, where people have interacted with video games, Comic-Con, Video Game Con, events like that ask people interact with each other. It's events like that have people go out there and meet friends, because video games does bring in some friendly interactions, some friendly conversations, some friendly debates. It's really that. And people really think that interactions like that are not good for the mind. It's Jesus Christ. Jesus freaking Christ. It's the fact that people have takes like this, that people truly believe that video games are an act of violence for some reason. It's like those feminists out there that say, oh, the video game industry is predominantly male and there are no good female representations in video games, which is a bold-faced lie, because if you actually play like the Lara Croft games, the Resident Evil games, or even some other games out here, like, it's always video games. Like, it's never the video outlets, it's never the Hollywood outlets that's always causing violence, or it's no good representation on the female outlets or the female gender. You know what I'm saying? It's always outlets like that people don't want to look at. Like, movies don't also cause violence. Again, which they don't. It's just a figment of people's imagination that media of this year, like, they literally give video games way too much credit. They give video games way too much power. There is a good representation of male, female, black, white, Hispanic, regardless of what it is. It's good representation out there in video games and movies. People just see these sorts of entertainment as a bad thing. It's just, again, it's up to the parents to want to buy this game for the kids. If the kids don't want it, then, oh well, it is what it is. Like said before, the game is rated M for mature, 17 plus. If you're so worried about your kids playing these video games, don't buy the freaking games. Don't buy the damn games. It's that goddamn simple. Like, just because your kid may have a little fuss, may have a little temper tantrum, doesn't mean you give your kids what they want if they having temper tantrums. That's not, you don't reward bad behavior. Now, I'm not out here trying to be a parent or anything, because I don't have no kids. But it's up to the parents to want to purchase this game for their kids. Just because they want the game does not mean you have to buy it for them. It's that goddamn simple. But like I said, man, it's problematic. You have feminists out here mad at GTA 6. You have conservatives out here like literally two sides of the same goddamn coin. But guys, this is all I got for this video, man. If you guys like the video, man, like, subscribe, share the video. I will hit y'all in the next one. Peace.